they just punched the crap out of each other for the entire game, and the rest of us played.
Are the boys going, what are you talking about, mate?
Yeah,
How are we going to warm up in the ground?
Exactly, but we had to get permission to do it.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Mightn't be here today talking.
How do you play in 7 drills?
I don't know. And if he's running past you, then know something's not right.
How's it finished,
Well, it could be a grind, but it was one we actually loved. We loved doing.
Here we go. Gather around. BackChat powered by Paywise, Daniel. We've had some great guests. We're very excited to chat to this, man. We love Adelaide. We love this man too. Western Bulldogs legend Brad Johnson joins us. Hello, mate.
Will, Dan, good to be with you guys. How are you?
Yeah, great, mate. Good little chat off air about things you're doing away from footy. But today we're going to talk about footy a little bit, I think. But to start the show, we ask every guest we have on this, Jono, the first question. It's the same every week, right? And it's your greatest sporting achievement. But I just want to tell you, like, we know you've been a good footballer, right? You've played a lot of games with the Western Bulldogs, right? You missed a couple of goals after the siren, but we'll get into that a little bit. You know,
I'm sure we will.
All Australian, right? All Australian, best and fairest. Like, you've done the lot, mate, right? And you're a great footballer, and we will talk about that. But for right now, we don't care. We know your greatest sporting achievement, not on the football field, right? So, Dan, maybe you can tempt him with a couple of your achievements.
I've played for Australia fistball. We played New Zealand last
fistball.
A couple of months ago.
Explain fistball to me. Do we not want to go there because you probably have explained it enough
let me get
over
started.
time?
It's big in Europe. It's like a big outdoor volleyball sort of situation.
Can only use your fist.
Also,
our defenders love it, mate.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You represented Australia.
Yeah, yep.
Well
Just
done.
recently, thank you. Sang the national anthem.
Full kit? Did you get the full kit, the whole lot?
Yeah, coat of
Fully
arms.
funded?
No.
By you?
Have you done that? Have you represented Australia?
International rules.
Yeah, great.
There you go.
Awesome. So I'm the one left out here. Perfect. What else?
We can 5 for 16 in under 12s cricket. It was in a grand final, Chill Hill Cricket Club.
I was a under 9 state hurdling champion.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
You're a hurdler.
So that's not,
60 metres?
Yeah, no, 80 actually.
80
mate.
metre.
Yeah, so he might be a hurdler too. Who knows? Right, Jono, it's not about us though. It's about you. Your greatest sporting achievement, not on the
greatest
football
sporting
field.
achievement.
Thanks to TABtouch, by the way. A good friend
So,
of TABtouch.
the year I retired, we won the Div B Surf Coast basketball title, which is my first premiership in a long time. I only ever won. We won the Bulldogs twos in 1994. We won the premiership.
Did you?
Other than that, that was my first ever other premiership
And there was
at senior level, Div 2.
Yeah, good.
What sort of basketball were you? What
Average.
Grinder.
I'm good. I'm the assist king, mate. You know what I mean? I just beat it off.
Good on the lip?
No,
bit of lip?
no lip,
see,
just-
nice play. Yeah.
No, just under the ring, trying to fight with the 6'6". So no, but as a youngster, athletics was my love, and I still love it. Absolutely love it today. So I was more into I got too bored too easily. So I had to do like the decathlon type thing. So I'd go to the events and instead of just going to do hurdles at states or local regions and all that sort of stuff, I couldn't sit there for 4 hours for one event and then come fifth and go home. So I had to go and do more. So Daley Thompson was my hero growing up.
Yeah.
So I ended up going down that line a little bit.
Really?
I was no good at discus and shot put being the size I am, but the running and all that sort of stuff was okay. And then we won the biggest achievement in athletics. So we won a bronze medal in a relay at the biggest school districts going around. That was it for me. Like I was the first medal that I'd won, loving the Olympics, loving my athletics, standing on the dais and putting the bronze on, mate, that was pretty cool.
I always used to think bronze was better than silver. Like, you know what I mean? It looked a bit more like gold.
Sounds better,
Do you know what I mean?
doesn't
Like, it just looked like it could have been gold. Silver was like,
So never good enough to win a gold, unfortunately. But
That's right.
to put a medal around the neck was pretty cool as a youngster.
Decathlon as well. That's good. Love that.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Very
it was different and it was challenging, but it just honestly, I think it was better for my parents because it just kept me involved all day rather than being a pest and just hanging around.
So you're going to play 364 games for the Dogs, but how does what's life like growing up for Brad Johnson? Sporting family, siblings.
Yeah, so I grew up in Hoppers Crossing,
Right.
not far from you as well, Will, where you grew up. So we, I was sort of. I've got an older brother. He's not too much into sport. He had a bad injury playing footy early on, so he sort of shied away from that. My dad played a lot of local footy. He was a full back of all things, so
Brilliant.
he was in that brutal age of Western suburbs footy. So he played a lot of that. Mum was quite athletic growing up, but never nothing too full on.
Yes.
In some ways, wasn't the black sheep of the family, but I was the only one seriously into like my sport. I just loved it. I lived for it every single day.
They would have had to put some miles in on the road.
The K's in the car were huge. Don't worry about
like
that.
I was crossing, you're either going up to Melbourne or down.
That's
to Geelong.
right. Yeah, spot on. So we were sort of everywhere as and my parents drove me everywhere. And as they do, they fully committed to, me allowing to sort of following my passions as a youngster. And
it's funny.
It was never no. And that was the good part about growing up. It was never no. It was like, okay. And they worked it out and got me there. And so I could have some fun and enjoy what I did.
Very often, no matter how good a career is, or if someone goes into sport, you reflect on it as your parents, right?
Oh, it is, because we all start exactly there, don't we? And it's something that I don't think we ever forget it either, because without those opportunities to just even to be dropped off so you could go and play, it was just exactly what you needed as a youngster.
No, Uber's back in the day.
No, that's it. Nothing like that. It was it. So, and it's hopefully you got a couple of mates as well that are playing the same thing, so you can jump in with them when needed.
Yes.
And all that sort of stuff.
Someone pulls the L's out and they're 6.
That's it.
Now, 94 is your first year. And you just said you won the flag in the Resi. So that's a good start. I mean, you want to be winning it at the top, but to come in and win a flag, that's brilliant.
It was good. It was a great first year. But in all honesty, my first year of AFL footy, mate, as you know, it's brutal. And back then it was brutal because the lists were massive. And although you were drafted in, you're still fighting against 50 or 60 blokes to get a game and get going. So my first year I started okay. And then I remember probably about 5 or 6 rounds in, I started to play poorly. And, I was just 17 years of age playing in the twos. And Terry Wallace actually came up to me at that point. He goes, "Look, you're not going great. We want to support you, but we want to drop you, but we've got nowhere to drop you to." Because back then there was 9-19s. There was no going back. And it was the first time I'd had that brutal feedback in footy about where you're at, where you're going, and what you need to do. So, and as you know, it goes either way. Then you either drop your bundle and don't perform well, or I've got that mentality of, all right, well, I'm going to dig in here now, prove you wrong, and get going. And it was exactly what I needed. So within 6 weeks of that, I was playing then senior footy at the club. And then we I just qualified. I played the last 9 games of the year. So less than 10, I could go back and play in the twos. And we went out in the finals to Melbourne in 94, got smashed by them in an elimination final. So then there was about 10 of us that could drop back to the twos. So we went and played in the prelim final in the twos. So there was 10 unlucky guys that got put out of the team, unfortunately. And we smashed, I think it was Fitzroy in a prelim final. And then we played North Melbourne in a grand final in the twos on the G. That was pretty cool. And to have a win was good. It was Steve McPherson and Peter German. They just punched the crap out of each other for the entire game, and the rest of us played footy. I think it was their last game of footy, the two of them, and we went on to win. We had a good team though. We had a really sort of strong reserves team.
What sort of players were with the Doggies in '94? Dougie Hawkins still.
Yeah, Doug was playing in the ones, but in the twos, I think we had there was myself, Das was in there.
Right.
I'm not sure Bevo wasn't, but Bevo was sort of in and around at that time as well. But our senior team was pretty strong at that particular.
That was strong through that period.
Yeah, like our first final against Geelong, Billy Brownless kicks a goal after the siren to beat us. So we were competitive against the really sort of good teams in the comp during that period.
Yes, and there was some dominant side like West Coast through that period.
Oh, West Coast, were actually unbelievable.
But so you mentioned about getting dropped, right? And it was the first time you got that fate. You didn't get dropped too many other times after. I looked through your years, mate. Like you didn't play a year where you didn't play under 20 games until your last year. So you played 9 in your first, 15 in your last, and every other game you played over 20 games.
You sort of learn early, I think, and it's how you handle it. I think is the most important thing. So Alan Joyce. So I had Terry Wheeler to start, and then Alan Joyce. Terry Wheeler got chopped in my first at round 2. I think it was in my first year. Alan Joyce came in and gave me my first crack at footy. But then my second year in 95, not that far in, he dropped me and taught me some lessons. But you sort of, it's as he said, it's how you go back and handle it. And I played okay in the twos pretty much straight away. And within a couple of weeks, I was back in the team due to some injury, and then off you go again. So, but it was those early lessons that and I just loved senior footy. I think everyone does when you get that opportunity, the adrenaline rush that comes with it. So, yeah, early on, I got tested a lot, but you work through it and hopefully you come out the other side better. And I was lucky enough then to just play and just keep getting rolled out every week and, hopefully have an impact and then go again. And
no major injuries.
No, in some ways I was lucky. You see guys that have got serious talent that just unfortunately don't get the lucky break in the game. And I did. I still had all of my major stuff was in the pre-seasons, luckily. So I had time to recover before the season had started.
Yes.
But the biggest, I had one op on my knee my first year, and that was just a basic clean out. And then my only op that I had during my career was on my bicep tendon, which had partially come away. They reattached it at the end of the year and away we went. But I still had, ankles and
yes.
I never did a soft tissue, which was lucky. So I didn't miss a game with soft tissue. So it was just other things that fingers and hands and wrists that you could just either jab up to get yourself through the game, or you didn't have to do anything about them along the way. And you just managed to sort of pull through it.
How did you swing the jumper number change? I love the jumper number change from 33 to 6 in the second year.
It was, so I was off at 33 to start.
Year.
So 33 was Brian Royal, who was a club legend. And so that was an honour in itself to get that. But at the Western Jets, I wore 6. And that was sort of the change in my footy, was playing in that number. So that became a bit of a psychological thing. But then also the history of the Bulldogs with the number 6. So Charlie Sutton being the premiership coach captain in 54 wore the 6. So it was kind of known as Charlie's jumper. And so that was explained to me. And then obviously my own personal want to wear that number as well. So that opportunity came up. I jumped straight at it to get in the front row at the club too. That's what you want in the locker room. You want to be in the front row in the single digits.
I don't doubt it wasn't an honour 33, but I said we can't be much of an honour. Only 12 months you lasted there.
Straight away.
Jumped at it.
But then there was always the talk that the Charlie's jumper had a lot of luck attached to it, and I didn't have the ultimate luck, but it or the ultimate honour, but it certainly provided some really good fortune for me.
Who went into 6 after you? I know Bailey Smith's in it now.
Oh, they retired it for a few years, I think.
It was sick of me. I was worn out.
That was it. So they hung it up for a couple of years. And then Luke Dalhouse, I think, was the first to wear it. And then he ended up winning a flag, which was huge.
Yes.
And now Bailey Smith, who hasn't had as much luck in the 6, but he's a star and he'll get it together.
What's it like rolling into the Bulldogs? Hoppers Crossing. It's not Bacchus Marsh. It's not, and it's not. But you're getting towards the western suburbs, right? What's the footy club like when you roll in there? Is it good facilities? Is that culture?
Good facilities coming from a West Coast man, right? So listen to Will over here. Good facilities.
What were the ice bins like?
I remember going over to West Coast for an international rules game. We walked in and we used their change rooms, and it was like, oh my God, we just walked into heaven. This is amazing. No wonder they're going well. Now our rooms weren't great, Will. So they were your standard, every run of the mill footy club change rooms. They were just basic.
This is Whitten Oval.
This is Whitten Oval. We had a reasonable size warm up area, probably just a little bit bigger than the room we're in here. So it was probably 10 by 10.
Boys, get your lanes. Get your lanes.
Did the handball lanes, got the bag out bumped and all that sort of stuff that you did. You think back now and you go, geez, what were we doing?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. You would have been led that.
Absolutely. The flashbacks, mate. That's so funny. But that sort of basic stuff. But our rooms were basic, and our gym was small, but it was what it was. You just did what you did, and you're able to do enough to get going. And I suppose that's where Terry Wallace was massive. Like he changed the game as a whole, but us starting to warm up on the ground, we were the first club to do that.
Really?
And it changed. I think it changed everything for everybody, that particular move. But that was in 97. And that gave us, sometimes you just need that little edge on the opposition to do things differently, and everyone's looking at you, and then you sort of got that edge for the year.
Yes.
We used that in 97, and we nearly got there and made a granny. And we finished, in 96, I think it was 15th, just in front of Fitzroy. So to go from that to losing a prelim by a point was a big step. But we did things differently under Plough, and that's what made him such a a really sort of good coach. And then the change rooms start to evolve and get bigger. And eventually it wasn't until probably 2008 that we got our massive facility, which was a huge shift. So it was a long time. Yeah. And then what we see today is just ridiculous. Imagine being involved in the competition today.
Oh, mate, mate, I go to Optus Stadium. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, I know. It's seriously good. And even the Bulldogs now have got a full indoor facility like the hangar or like Sydney have now developed. And that's the next stage for clubs, isn't it? Building their own indoor facilities, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. But it'd be pretty cool to be a part of.
I'm interested to know on this, getting the boys warming up on the ground.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. What was it? Because
you know what we did to start though? We went out there and we just basically lay on the ground stretched, right? But in a bigger environment.
I'm just thinking like him walking in and go, boys, what are we going to do today? Like, with none of this bullshit in the rooms, we're going to warm up. Are the boys going, what are you talking about, mate?
Yeah.
How are we going to warm up in the ground?
Exactly. But we had to get permission to do it because the twos were playing beforehand. So it was all timing issues as well. Yeah. But it kind of just worked because you'd go out there, you'd still sit in your circle and do your P&F stretch and all those basic things. But then you'd go into triangle goals, which we all did forever. But then you just start working individually or in partners, doing your kicks, doing your run-throughs. And it just...
What we see everyone do.
It started as a really basic thing. Right. We were just out on the ground because Terry Wallace, I think, travelled overseas and soccer and all those sports. They go warm up on the ground. They don't stay in their little change rooms to do it. So he thought, why aren't we doing that? Because our rooms were seriously small. Yeah. So it just made sense. Yeah. And it took a little bit to evolve it, but it was just different to be out there.
Were you a quirky preparer? Like, did you have any little? Did you?
Didn't we all?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. Is it?
You weren't running out last, touching the banner, not touching the banner.
Well,
socks up, socks down.
Initially, I never. When I first started, and this was probably from maybe Western Jets onwards, as you start to get a bit more serious on where you're going. But my nana said to me once that if you shower the morning of a game, a hot shower, it'll drain your energy. You'll have no energy. So I never used to shower game day. I'd wash, of course, but I never used to shower on game day. And it was about 2 years into my AFL career that the players found out about this. And we're here in Adelaide, and Steve Collenhook, I remember I was standing at the lifts and he got a bit of the ash out of the old ashtrays that would be next to the lifts, and he put a bit on my head and he rubs it in. He goes, now you got to have a bloody shower, right? So I had to shower, right? And then I go out and play well, and I showered ever since. Like it was just all, what am I doing? But I was just mentally like, that was just the way, So if you shower, and so she introduced a Mars bar and a Powerade to my pre-game warm up as well. So like every time I traveled to a game, I had to eat a Mars bar, drink a Powerade on the way, which little things like that, and wear the same Speedos, take the same towel, all that sort of superstitious stuff was a big part of my routine. And in the end, even my socks, I had to have the AFL logo on the outside.
You're a socks up guy too.
I was socks up. So the logo had to be on the outside. So you'd go into the rooms and all the socks would be there, and you'd grab a pair and I'd pull them apart and they'd be the same size. So then I'd have to go through them, things like that.
Right. So I've uncovered something here. I was just asking you in general, but you're a bit of a freak.
Now I'm saying it out loud, mate. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm
just imagining like, Jono, like he's the bloke that, so we had like Quinton Lynch, right? So Lynchy used to get grumpy, and the boys used to steal his shorts and change them for smalls. No. It's the same gang every week. So he'd wear like double XL, big ass on Lynchy, anyway. Massive bodies. Every week, he'd go to put his shorts on, and they'd be small. It was a cry every week,
and everyone's hiding, waiting for him to do it.
So I'm just seeing like Jono, like just put the two left socks in there, and then Jono's going through flicking out socks.
So it was honestly basic stuff, apart from the shower stuff. But the rest was just your basic every sort of day run of the mill. And then, when you'd warm up and when you get changed and all that, it had to be sort of structured. I couldn't get out of bed until 9 o'clock on game day. Even I woke up at 7, I couldn't step out of bed until 9 a.m. Like stuff like that just, I don't know, became part of prepreration.
Yes. You said like a few quirky things. He's rolled out 15.
Hang on. What else do we all?
You also used to rep the long sleeves
every now and then.
Yeah, you like a long sleeve, Jono.
I hated the cold, so I'd put a long sleeve on every now and then, which was good. Whitten Oval in the early days, it was a disaster zone to play. You know what I mean? So howling wind, wet, muddy. So the long sleeve was handy during that time. And then, but I wore a long sleeve most of my junior career as well, because that's all the clubs had. So it wasn't sort of something new to me. And then the only other time you put the long sleeve on is if you had, a bit of a shoulder injury, you're trying to hide it and things like that. I remember once we played the Adelaide Crows, and I coming off a shoulder the week before, and I reckon Mark Rashuda, I don't know how he worked this out, but so I had the full long sleeve on. First bounce, I start in the middle of the ground. He comes off the line and just smashes me. But it's one of those where you sort of, you're not right to play, but you've convinced everyone that you're right to play. So there's no way you can go off in the first 10 seconds of the game. So you run around for the entire game with a wing, but you're just trying to hide it, trying to cover it up, and that was the only other time that I'd put the long sleeve on. And Rue was a machine.
I'm wincing at feeling like he was just a nugget as well.
He was, but he got it too. Like, we're actually really close now. It's amazing, isn't it, how you end up, going down different paths, especially with Adelaide smashing us in 97, 98, and we actually hated the guys, but they end up being, once you get to know them, they're rippers. But he was, it's just the way he looked at the game, but then knew his opposition so well, and all the details around the scouting and who saw and where can I hit him. And
well, he's still doing that now. I still get calls from Rue, like, he's doing his scouting calls. So he would have done the same thing.
Absolutely.
Someone licked it.
Whose shoulder?
That's right.
What do you remember of the rebrand to the Bulldogs?
Yeah, it was big time. That was really huge.
Fans okay with that? Or
it had to be done, I think, looking back on it now, because we were gone. Like, we were basically nearly folding as a football club. There was a merger talks going on at the time, and there was probably a couple of times throughout my career where we were nearly gone as a club. That was one of them. 96, where we said we were really battling. So the board left, new board came in, David Smorgan, and brought some guys in, and they saw the fact that we could capture the West, because we were Footscray. We were like one little suburb. How can we capture the whole western suburb? So in the way, from a branding point of view, I think it was a really sort of smart play to do that. And it just changed the fortunes of our thinking of the club. It made us feel like we were sort of a bigger club, and we really belonged in the west of Melbourne, not just Footscray. So that was big, because we were nearly gone. So if Smorgo and his team didn't come in and help save the club, we would have been mightn't be here today talking, about that time. So that was massive. So it was more about the brand, about us, than trying to do things a little bit differently to survive, because we were in debt for a long time, in a lot of debt, and it was hard at different stages throughout the career. But that was a step in the right direction for the club, and we still trade as the Footscray Footy Club. We just branded as the Western Bulldogs, and off we go, and we sort of, as I said, we made the prelim in 97, 98. So that really helped that whole transition of change.
After almost folding.
Exactly. Yeah. So if we had been poor in those couple of years, we rebrand everything and we stay down the bottom, it might have been a different story again, but at least we got going.
A lot of fan bases have, reputations, whatever, Collingwood, we know what they're like, and West Coast, but the Bulldogs from afar, to me, look like the passion is, and maybe it was the lack of premiership success that builds that feeling, but it's very much it feels like a small club almost. Like Collingwood's this massive enterprise on West Coast, but Bulldogs, like the fans, and it's got a lot of fans, but it's like a community club.
During that period in particular, I think, Will, that was the critical part, because through the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, the membership base it got up to maybe 30,000. I could be wrong, but it was roughly 25 to 30. It sat in that realm. It was never how are we going to get to the 50s and 60s of Collingwood or West Coast with 50,000 on their waiting list and and things like that. But so that was always the challenge for us as a footy club, no doubt, because we didn't have that massive base. And even when we end up getting to the point of winning the flag in 2016, that the membership base, I think, was still maybe 35, 40,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was then the level of, and winning that flag has changed the fortunes of the club forever. So that's the meaning behind, yes, the winning of them is great for the players, but what it did for the club was
the people,
huge. The people. It eliminated our debt that we'd held forever, and it now puts you in a position to be successful and move forward as a club and build better facilities and all these things that we can do today because of that one win in 2016 and the amount of merchandise you sell and all those things are just huge. And now, we've grown like everyone else and the club sits at 60,000 members and it's in a really good, I think, sweet spot at the moment. But it was a serious grind through that whole period of changing names. We took pay cuts. We had to do all different things to survive. And that was just the way that we did it. But we're probably more a hard working club and I don't think we'll ever lose that side of things. That it could be a grind, but it was one we actually loved.
Yeah.
We loved doing.
What was on reflection, what was the year that you probably had the best chance at going all the way on reflection?
97 was just an opportunity lost, no doubt. But then
best side 97.
Probably 08, 9 and 10 was our best run.
Right.
08 we had an opportunity, lost the prelim. 09 we're in a real sweet spot. Like that was the year. Learned from 08, kept it going. We're 7 points up on the Saints in the last quarter. Nick Rewalt kicks a couple, I think it was, and breaks our hearts in that one. That was our chance.
You're an old boy there, aren't you?
Yes, I'm old there, mate. I'm 12 months away from. So that was it, right? This is the last hurrah. And then 2010, we were just beaten up. We still made the prelim, but we got to prelim day, and the line in the medical room when we walk in was quite long, and you just sort of knew then that we're going to have a crack, and we didn't die wondering in those 3 games, and even Rodney Eade, our coach. Although we didn't make it, the way he talks to us was how proud he was of. We just did everything for him. We listened to the game plan. We tried to execute it as well as we possibly could. So we did everything right. There were just better teams on those nights. But 2010, unfortunately, we just saw more beaten up than anything else. And then after that, it sort of trailed off for a few years.
Like given your career, it just shows how difficult they are to win, in my opinion. It just. Some blokes never even, just don't get the opportunity to do it. It's fucking hard.
Yeah, I played a lot of finals. I just didn't get that chance to take that final step. And that's what we're there for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're reminded of it a lot at the Bulldogs because it had been so long since we'd played in one and we'd lost a lot of prelims. So that 2016 final series was just off the charts.
What was it? Were you in fan mode?
Absolutely. The best thing about Fox, I remember speaking to Lee and a couple of their guys at Fox, who look after us, and they sort of said, "Look, this final series, we just want you to just be yourself," because we got smacked by Freo, or the club got smacked by Freo in the last round, and then it was the first round of the bye, and so then the club had to go back to WA to play you guys, and so we, so
it's like they come out, we'll smack them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, but we would have had the same mindset as well, to be honest with you, because of the performance before. But what they did, they just adjusted, because you guys were so good at Kennedy, Lacroix holding forward against Freo the week prior to that, or 2 weeks prior to that. They lost all their shape forward of the ball on Subiaco, which is a long ground. As you know, you need to have representation when you break off half back.
Yes.
So they adjusted that, and then they put a few of the smalls forward, Picken and a Dunkley and a couple others just held their
whipping around.
Had their own down forward. Exactly. What are they doing?
These blokes?
What are they doing down here?
Whipping around. That style of footy they were playing that year. It was just like knock on, hit on.
Yeah, that's it.
Handballs over to the head.
That's right.
Tapping on. Yeah. Stringer was sizzling there. They just had this brigade of players.
That's right. But it only worked when they had players, once they did get it out, to have representation in front of the footy.
Right. So
they lost that against Freo, readjusted it against you guys, and
Freo
got the win.
Freo actually,
and plus I think they got 4 good players back too in that week off. And then the second final they played Hawthorn at the G.
Yep.
They were 20 points down in the second quarter and went in front at half time, and we're all sort of looking at each other, a few ex-players sitting together, going, "Hang on, something's rolling here." The bomb was on fire. And so we beat Hawthorn and end their run of premierships.
Yes.
And then GWS, we play them in a prelim final on their home deck. And it was a Bulldogs home game. The amount of supporters, like the boo when GWS ran out, was like it was being played at the Whitten Oval. So it was unbelievable. And
that was a great game.
I sat with Mitch Hahn, and we're pretty cool for 3 quarters, right? But the last quarter was a disaster.
Yeah. So you weren't working, you were watching?
No, I was watching.
Wow.
Yeah, I was watching. I did a little bit of work with Fox, just because did a bit of pre-game and then post-game, all the celebrations and all that sort of stuff. And so that was cool. So yeah, Mitchie and I sitting together, and like I said, we were cool for 3, and then just nervous wrecks for the last quarter, and we got the win. And then the grand final was just next level. So that month of footy was the best I've seen in my time ever. Supporting the club as a youngster through to today. It was just ridiculous.
So did you go for the Bulldogs growing up?
Yeah,
Did ya?
which was cool.
That's, I mean, like, I know you don't get the flag in the career, but watching that happen after a long time at the footy club, supporting them, I didn't know that. Like, it's like winning one. I don't know.
Well, it was because I'd been waiting 40 years or 35 years myself to see them hold up the cup and having opportunities to do it personally, like to get to that spot and never being able to achieve it. So it was always a dream to watch them hold up that cup.
Where did you watch it?
No, so we were behind the goals at the G, which was cool, and the whole family was there. And then with about 5 minutes to go in the last, I saw the board members take off to go down to the change rooms. And so I had a pass, but the family didn't. So I said, let's go. So we followed the board down, got through everybody.
Right.
And when the siren went, we're in the race straight out onto the ground. So the kids are standing there, just loving it.
How old were they then?
We're in 2016. So
it's what, 10 years ago, isn't it?
14, my daughter, maybe 11, 12, my son, something like that.
So you're in the middle of the G.
Yeah. So we're standing in the middle of the G, which was awesome, watching the boys celebrate and have the time of their life. And it was really cool. It was emotional. It was good. And it's just something that you never forget. I did the Norm Smith that day, which was in some ways, which is a great honor, but a disaster as well.
Why?
Well, my team's playing in their first grand final in 60 years, and I'm trying to work out who's best on. But I got there, which was good. It was good.
Who won it that year? I'm trying to think.
Jason Johannesson won the Norm Smith. Tommy Boyd. I gave Tommy Boyd one. Josh Kennedy from Sydney was like next
amazing.
level that day. He was so good.
Yes.
And so was JJ. Yeah. So if Sydney had got up, then I think Kennedy definitely he would have won he probably would have won the Norm Smith because the Bulldogs got up. It just went the Bulldogs' way.
People don't know. I've never given votes for Norm Smith. Give them some votes and stuff. It's a bloody nerve-wracking.
It is today because it's all publicised. That's why I think.
Were your votes put out?
Yeah, they're all put out.
Yeah.
They're all put out. But the good thing, we're all the judges in the end, which you don't know what the other judges are,
That's
are
what's
voting for. You don't know.
You feel like if I could give JJ 3 here and no one gives him
and
a
some
vote,
gave Boyd 3, some gave JJ 2, 1. But everyone had pretty much the same 3 players. It was just the way you saw them on that particular day.
That's bloody good because it looked like all the old boys. Because like I'm thinking like Liberatore, Tony's son was playing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
like there was some like
even Darce's commentary that particular final series was awesome, and he got caught up in the emotion of it as well. But it was just natural. I think sometimes you can get held back because you don't want to be biased and all this sort of stuff. But just to have that freedom and be told by Fox, just go. If they make it and win it, just ride the emotion. So it was cool to have that release just to go and support them. Yeah.
Looking back at your playing career, I noticed you played 7 draws, which seems crazy. Like sometimes, players play in 1 in their career. How did you play in 7 draws?
I don't know. We weren't good enough to win them.
Yeah, you're a forward too, so you're probably missing goals.
I missed a couple. They didn't result in. One resulted in us losing. Well, they both did.
What's this?
But anyway,
After the siren, let's go there.
You almost.
We had one draw against West Coast though. It was in my 200th over in WA.
Oh, really?
Actually, Sampy, I reckon, kicked a goal late or after the siren,
right?
Potentially to for one of those draws.
I'm
trying to avoid going there, Will. To be perfectly honest with you,
the one. So if we just go to the misses after the siren,
just go to them. Let's just go to them.
I can't remember which one was first, but there was one you almost didn't even get a kick because you ran off the mark.
Oh, that was the Geelong one. The second one. So
with like half a second.
Everyone's
left.
dream, and I was the same. I'm out in my front yard listening to Up There Kazali on the old record player, right? Kicking goals after the siren. On our front yard that I thought was 50 metres long, and you go back today, it was like 5 metres wide.
Yes.
Right? So I was the dream. I was trying to live that dream of everybody else. And I never had that opportunity right throughout my career until towards the end. So I had one against North Melbourne after the siren, and then the following year, 12 months later, to the day, I had another opportunity. Pretty much to the day.
Wow.
It was just crazy the way that it works out. My first one against North, I just butchered the kick. I was about 40 metres out. I don't think I just made the distance and shanked it. It was a disaster. And then the second one was, as much as you try to be calm in these situations and routine and
I
all
won't think
that,
about the other
I think
one.
I think I just looked up and, you know, just didn't hit it as well as what I should have. And the second one was late in the game. And my thing was, if I mark in the pocket, I'd always sort of play onto my left and snap it. So I did that. The umpire called me back because he blew time, luckily. But I would have still, the siren wouldn't have gone anyway. So then I got brought around. Siren went, so I had to snap on my right and just hit it a bit too heavy, and it went wide. So yeah, missed a couple of opportunities. So I don't sleep that well, you know, at times thinking about it. It comes up probably 2 or 3 times a year. So this is the first time this year. So thank you for that. We're underway. So I've got a couple more up my sleeve before the year's out.
So going right back, right? No. You get dropped in that first year, right? And then it doesn't look like you get dropped too much. But you played under a couple of coaches, Terry Wallace and Rocket Eade. Look, from externally, it looked like they could give a cook.
Yeah.
Were you ever in the gun as a player, or were you?
Yeah. We all were in the gun at different stages. Like when I missed those big opportunities, Rocket was seriously unbelievable. And I was probably lucky that social media wasn't that big then. Imagine what I copped from people writing into me at the Bulldogs was
which
next
is
level.
bizarre.
Which is the way we got all our mail back then. You know, when you go to your pigeonhole and there's 10 letters sitting in there. A couple were quite. After the second one, there was a couple of brutal ones because I think a bit of gambling had just started to sort of flow into the game and might have cost some people a bit of dough. So that was brutal. But outside of that, no, the coaches as a whole, yeah, you'd cop a bake, and if you're not playing well or you just don't. For me, it was more. I think at times it was more just sort of, you know, not working as hard as what I probably did over a consistent period, and they could identify that pretty quickly and sharpen me up to change pretty quickly. Because generally, you know, I'd go out there, I'd work my butt off and commit to every contest. So there were things like that were never questioned from my playing point of view. Yes. It was just that adjustment to, you know, if I get put in a different role, I didn't perform it as well as what they had expected. And so it was more just that education throughout. And I never saw a spray or a bake as a negative, because they're having a go at you because they know you can get to another level, or you've been there, you've dropped off a little bit, let's get you back there quickly. So it was more, okay, yep, this is what you want from me. How are you going to help me get to it? They'd help you, and away you go again. There was never, I never saw a bake as a negative. Right. As a negative thing.
They had some all time. Like I've seen some. There is footage. Like Terry Wallace have got some absolute golden. If
you blokes get a pat on the back, I'll spew up.
Were you in the room that night?
Yeah, definitely. Good. So we had Year of the Dog, the video. So that was 96, right? So we had Year of the Dog. They followed us around for the whole year. We finished 15th. We had one player, Sean Baxter. Unfortunately, he had cancer that year, so he was dealing with that. And then the club nearly folds, and we're sacking coaches, and for the guys
this was hard knocks before.
Yeah, this is real reality TV at its finest.
Before
so for the guys doing the doco, this is gold for them. They've got content galore.
Yes.
But for us, it was a disaster. If they had followed us the following year, it would have been even better, because we go from there to nearly making it. It would have been a huge doco. But so that was in that doco where he was filmed doing that.
Because see any more cameras, I'm going to spew up.
But he was the ultimate motivator player. Like, honestly, like that year in 96, we started training in October. No one had ever done that sort of stuff before. So he saw what we had as players, but you sort of think you're at a certain fitness level and how you're going to break to another barrier. Well, he broke plenty of barriers down for us to become fitter and stronger and more confident that we actually belong. And that's where Rodney Eade was good also, because one of my first sessions with Rocket, he grabbed the group together and he goes, okay, if you think you're an AFL player, go to the left. If you think you're not, go stand on the right. And I reckon there was about 10 of us that went left at that particular time. I think it was about 2005, 2006. Oh. And he goes, there's our problem right there. And so then started to build the confidence in everybody else to do it. So then when he asked the question again at the end of the summer, you know, obviously more players had started to step to the left because they started to believe that they belonged. But he had a lot of work to do with with the group. And that's the art of good coaching, isn't it? The fact that you can identify something quickly, work with the individuals, work with the group to build our confidence to feel like you really belong, to have a real impact in the competition.
So that you're talking about 09, don't quite get done the prelim, and then 10's your last year.
Yep.
Do you know, like when's the, usually most people get, I don't know, knock on the door or do you make your mind up? How's it finished?
Well, I was doing a run just pre-Christmas and I had a sore Achilles and Ben Hudson ran past me. Now the big Rock Hudson, he's a big guy. And if he's running past you, you know something's not right.
This is
the preseason.
Oh boy.
So I probably thought at that point, what's going on here? Because I never had any issues with my body whatsoever. And then my Achilles just started to grumble away. And so I got it right over the summer, played the first game, then got hit by a golf cart at training, and I missed a month of footy after that by getting hit by a golf cart.
You got hit by a golf cart.
It's amazing you haven't seen it on
Don't worry.
YouTube. You'll look
Once you speak about this, we'll be clipping it right up social.
It actually wasn't that hard. The cart didn't hit me hard.
We're on the golf course.
No, I'm at training. So I'm having snapshots, and the whistle blew for the cart to go out, and so the guy just heard the whistle bang, took off, but he didn't, like I said, he wasn't going hard. I wasn't standing that far from it, but there was a box underneath the front and it hit my Achilles in the wrong spot. So it just went from normal size again, which I worked it to being in a real ordinary way. So it took me a month to get that right. And then I ebbed and flowed at the start of the year, in the side, out of the side because of my Achilles. But once again, I was open with Rocket and I spoke to him early on. I said, this is probably going to be my last year. And he goes, no, come back and see me in a month. So I went back in a month. He's like, no, I don't think you're ready. Come back and see me. Keep thinking about it. Your footy's not bad. You're not at where you want to be, but we still think you can offer something. But it was about the fourth time I went back to him. He goes, okay, we'll call the presser and we'll get this done. So he was brilliant because once again, I probably made the decision in my mind anyway.
Yes.
Just physically where I was at, I couldn't handle the loads of training and I loved that side of it. And I couldn't prepare as well.
Yes.
Missing a lot of sessions and bits and pieces. So I finished at the end of 2010 and I did nothing for a month and my Achilles went away and I've never felt it again. So I sort of sit there going, what rest? Because at the time you chase, so I'm going to the Institute of Sport and I'm going to tendon flickers and I'm trying everything to get this Achilles right. And I stop and I've never felt it since. And I go, but it was definitely, no, it was all.
Never played AFL.
Yeah, that's right. It was load based. It was
correct.
definitely, and I couldn't have gone through at 35 years of age doing, so I just couldn't have prepared well and done, half the sessions and bits and pieces. It just wouldn't have sat well with me. So I think it was the right time.
Legend of the club, AFL Hall of Fame, games. What was the send off like? Did you have a last game and you knew it was your last game?
Our last game was a losing prelim. Yeah. So it was. I think we announced it towards a couple of rounds to go. I think in that year, and it was good. It was good for the family to sort of, be a part of that. The kids were old enough to understand it and
big part
and be a part of it, and
footy as well,
and all of that.
Life.
So that was pretty cool, and it could have ended at any stage during the final series. We made the prelim, and
could have ended when the golf cart.
It could have ended then as well.
I could have fixed the Achilles as well. Maybe that was the thing. It just knocked it in place, and then got you right. Going back to 2000, the only team to beat Essendon in that run. Is that like a bit of a badge and honour?
That was something different again, where Terry Wallace was, instead of Mission Impossible, he themed it Mission Possible. So we went and trained. We did a massive flood that day. It was the first time a team had thrown every number pretty much behind the ball to try and stop Essendon from scoring. So we went and trained at Werribee for the whole week, away from everyone, away from the cameras, worked on this game plan to beat Essendon and end their run. Because there was a healthy rivalry between both clubs because we're not too far apart. So we just bought into what Plough was doing and what he was sort of coaching for us to actually, beat them. And so we executed, and it was sort of funny. For 3 quarters, we executed this massive flood, and we were still 20 points down at 3/4 time, something like that. And at 3/4 time, he goes, okay, we're going to now release it.
Right.
We're going to go play attacking footy, play on it every opportunity. Off you go. So we're trying to play slow and controlled and chip it around and just keep the ball off them as much
All
as we
boys
possibly
like, we're going
could.
to change the whole.
Yeah. And so, but you know, when you've got a team, because at quarter time, I remember Joe Mercedes and Mark McCurry and these boys walking past us going, what are you boys doing today? You know, like this isn't, you know, so we sort of got that little bit into their heads. And then we released it at 3/4 time, got back into the game. Granny kicks an unbelievable goal on his left from the boundary line, gets us in front by a point. Siren goes. Smitty kicks one after the siren. We win by 7 points. It was a huge win for the club, and it just goes to show, you know, you buy into different styles that the coaches try to do to do it, try and execute. We worked it out. The following week, we did the same thing against Hawthorn. They smashed us. So it worked for a week, but it was, I think we celebrated too hard off that Essendon win, though. I don't think it was the game plan.
We've unlocked.
Yeah.
We're going to be undefeated.
I don't think it was the game plan the second week that we lost to Hawthorn. I think our heads were still sore from still celebrating the Essendon win.
So talking about Essendon, what was your split mid forward over your career? Like, were you 70 forward, 30 mid, like in terms of what you like?
I started as a winger,
Right.
and then I played half forward through my whole junior career, and then stood up, went to the wing, as you sort of do when you're skinny and play on the outside. And then I went into the midfield for a little bit, for a couple of years. And then 2000, Plough sort of pulled me up and he said, no, I want you to come and play as a forward for me. But he goes, I'm not just going to send you there. So what he did, he employed Brian Taylor to come down and basically be my own personal coach for a whole summer. So BT would be at 2 sessions a week, and he was basically on the ground with me, teaching me where to lead, where to run, where to pull back, what to use, how to get away from my opponent, body up here. What I learned in that 4 to 5 months of preseason training from BT set me up for playing forward. So he was just pretty much just me. Like he would talk to the other forwards, but I think I was just his guy, you know what I mean? So everything I did and all my set shot routine and everything, he would take me through twice a week for 4 or 5 months. So, and it was huge. And then my first game, I think I ended up maybe kicking 4 or 5 as a forward, and then it was just on from there. So without question though, without Plough doing that, it might have been a different adjustment. Yes. So BT was phenomenal for me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You didn't spend a lot of time in the back line then, Jono. And I don't know if this is right, because when Dan found this and told me this, I was like, oh, what? Why? Were you under Gary Moorcroft?
Was I? You know I was under Gary Moorcroft. Asking me a question that you know the answer to.
Well, my head goes, well, what on earth?
It's my twin brother, mate.
What on earth were you doing down there? He took that in forward pocket.
That's an awesome point you made.
What were you doing?
Exactly. I don't know.
You learned your lesson.
I don't know. You know the good thing though.
So it was you. It
was opposite to playing forward, right? So I had no coaching going back. And Plough just sort of said, look, he's on fire. Like Andrew McLeod, just go play in front of him a little bit and just run off him.
They put you on him.
They put me on him, yeah, because he was on fire. So I stood 10 metres in front of him thinking, I'll just run off here if he kicks 1 or 2. And then so Scotty Lucas gets the ball. He's never kicked on his right foot ever. Scotty Lucas, ever.
Never.
Kicks one on his right.
No.
It floats up. And the next thing, I remember standing up off the ground and 40,000 people are giving him a standing ovation. I'm like, oh, shit. What's just happened?
It might have been pretty big.
So I look at the scoreboard and the replay comes up and it was enormous. Well, and I remember Ben Hudson was my teammate. I remember in the back of my mind, did someone just cheer that mark close to me? It was Ben Harrison cheered the mark. It was that big, right? So mate, it was huge. It was enormous.
For what it's worth, I didn't know it was you underneath it. I didn't. So
that's good.
That's good. I was more focused on Gary Moorcroft doing the positive.
So that gets brought up 3 times a year as well. So we've ticked that one off as well.
Anything I've missed?
No, you haven't missed anything. But mate, that was enormous, wasn't it? Like seriously, to get that high and take the mark that he didn't play much after that, because I think he buggered his hip off the back and landed on the turf from the roof.
When Liam Ryan played in the Waffle, picked up as a senior recruit into West Coast, and in 2017 he was in the Waffle, and I was dropped and playing in the Waffle quite a bit. Could have been 300 game player like you if I wasn't dropped so much, actually, John. But Liam Ryan took 7 of the top 10 marks of the year in the Waffle. 5 of those were on my skull. 5. 5 of
You're
them.
on the same team or opposite teams?
Opposite teams.
Yeah, so he's just jumping
I
on
was
your head.
playing. I was just playing on a key position.
So you got him drafted.
Correct. And he very good mates with flying, and he commented, said, "Mate, hey bros, you got all these hangers going on your skull." He's like, "That's how you got bald, eh, bros? I took that hair off your head." And he's correct. I used to have hair before.
Not like you, mate. I lasted 1 quarter pretty much as a back pocket, and then I never went back there ever again, which is kind of deliberate. If you're going to go somewhere you don't want to play,
correct,
play shit out.
May as well get Mark of the Century taken
You'll
on
never
you.
go back there.
Correct.
Back there again.
Well, I think that moves us nicely into this last part of the podcast, Jono. So this is usually a part where we get the people to ask you questions, but a bit of a late call up here to gather around from KO Sports. Big thank you to KO Sports
Thank you.
for getting us over here. So instead of social media, you like that? Yeah, I thought you might. Look, loves it.
That's a
Everyone's
really good fun.
Yeah, really
words,
good.
mate.
Took us about 3 years to come up with that. Now, instead of social media, we're doing the BackChat Backman Diaries.
Right.
And we're giving some love to the backs. Okay, so your quarter in the back line, right? In memoriam of
I'm going to
your,
find this really difficult to do, aren't I?
right. So the Golden Fist, late great Danny Frawley just set up this, brilliant award where the Golden Fist was for dour defenders and for spoils, and Alex Rance would win it, and Jeremy McGovern's won one. They're these key possession killers, right?
Yeah.
Nick Dacos got 3 votes last week. I saw Nick Martin.
It's evolved into something a bit different,
Well,
hasn't it? The Golden Fist.
they've
So you're
lost-
saying you want to adjust it back to
They can do whatever they like.
What it was. 'Cause let's be honest. Spoiling's not that difficult, is it?
Wow.
It's pretty easy to just put your fist in the air and punch it away.
Why don't you fucking spoil the game? Walk off, mate. It's not that hard, mate. Maybe just spoil it.
Why couldn't my teammate jump over and do it?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was too
right?
high, but
So if it was so easy, you would have spoiled that mark, right? So, Jono, you know how hard it is. Right. So, it's very hard. Now, the Golden Fist, they can do what they like. We've created the BackChat Backman of the Year award. And
Nice.
last year, it was the first year, inaugural winner, Jack Buckley. That's the sort of player we're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
So he won. We've got the Norm Smith, we've got the Brownlow, we've got the Coleman, right?
Yep.
Mids, forwards, and someone else.
Mids,
Like
mids and
best
mids.
on round, right? You're correct, right? And we have the Jack Buckley medal. So we've got the Brownlow, the Coleman, the Norm Smith, and the Buckley, right?
Right. So
and-
named because he won the first one?
Yeah, correct.
named after him.
And we made a bit of a deal about it, presented in front of the
Well
group. Adam
done.
Kingsley had us down there, and he won that medal, and that'll be awarded from now on. Okay, so it gets awarded to dour types, to role players, to guys that one-on-one contests, the guys that aren't looking for kick-outs, Jono, right?
Yep.
So I want to know off the back of that, who's your favourite defender in the game right now? And they've got to be a defender, mate, like a defender. I won't have these boys, I won't have these guys kicking out, getting stats, right? You need to
Just
go to the other end of the
rolling
stats.
around.
You need to go other end of the
Yeah.
stats. Who do you genuine, like, who do you love watching defend? And I know it might be hard for you as a forward,
Yep.
but
No,
there's got to be some
no.
guys. There's got to be some guys
I
running
don't
around
look
out there.
that closely at them, to be honest with you.
that's
No,
all.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
So, honestly, I love Liam Jones, and I know that's the Bulldog flavour, but even when he went back at Carlton and
Yes.
changed the way that his aggression at the contest is next level.
Like that.
Yeah,
he's really good, and he's not underrated anymore in the competition. But he had to make a big adjustment to save his career, and I love that
Well, he
about
was
players.
He was a forward.
He was a forward, and he was doing well as a forward. Went to Carlton and was gone. Was playing twos, and they threw him back and uncovered a beast. So, that was good. And Nick Vlosten from Richmond, who I hope he falls into your category because
Yes, he does.
he is a guy that just goes about his business. He's a good interceptor. He's tough. He's rarely beaten by his direct opponent.
Underrated and not given enough credit.
Exactly right. So, and that was in some ways because of some of the other players around him. I think he's probably the leader down there now and will be for the next couple of years at Tigerland. But I've always loved the way that he's gone about his footy. And one to look out for, Connor Buderick at Gold Coast.
Yes, he got dropped this week, actually.
Did he?
They dropped
but
him
no,
this week.
okay, well, that's a bit unfortunate
no.
mentioning his name
No.
now, isn't it? But I think he's a player of the future, honestly. He's had his own injury issues, so it doesn't sort of surprise me that he'll fluctuate as he returns to play. But over the next couple of years, he'll become one of the best sort of back pockets in the game.
So
He got votes, didn't he?
yeah, he did. He's got votes in the BackChat
Good.
Backman of the year.
Yeah, his first game this year was
Yep.
awesome.
You got 2 votes.
Yeah.
So you're on the money, Jono.
Yeah. And
come out firing.
actually, we sponsor one player from every team.
And
BackChat sponsors.
when we say sponsor,
Yeah.
we don't give anyone any money.
There's nothing official about it, but we back him in.
You can be our Fox. You can be our Fox.
It's a product deal.
Yeah, correct. You can be our Fox Footy sponsor.
Okay.
Media type.
I'll wear a t-shirt for you, mate.
Vlosten's our player sponsor for Richmond.
Yes.
There you go.
So you've picked very well.
Very well.
Yeah.
Well done. I want you to reflect on this statement, Jono. Forward sell memberships, mid sign sponsorships, backs win premierships. What? True, false?
You got to score to win, mate.
Yeah, what do backs do? They stop him from scoring.
Yes, no.
So,
nah. Well,
maybe if you had a better backline, Jono.
maybe if we did. Maybe if we had you, Will, with that dour, you didn't mind an elbow to the back of the head every now and then, or there's a little bit of ruthlessness about the way you played your footy.
Can you buy into this or not? No, it's a dead.
So what was the forwards one again? Forwards
sell memberships.
Sell memberships.
Everyone's coming to watch you blokes kick goals.
Absolutely.
Right? Mid-sign
Couldn't agree
sponsorships,
more.
the money.
Well,
right? Money.
We
boys.
can all rack up 40 in the midfield these
correct.
days, couldn't we?
But they sign the sponsorships, right? Brand deals.
That's
and,
it.
Yeah, and then backswing premierships.
Okay.
You're coming around to it, aren't you?
I'm slowly coming around to it. Slowly. You've nearly won me over.
Can you?
That's true, mate. They play an important role. Probably you're right. Third in the pecking order, but it's an important role they play.
Third of three.
This is good. Can you name me your favourite Fox Footy talent backman? No. Name your favourite backman.
Matthew Pavlich.
No.
Where was he all Australian? Was he all Australian?
Yes, he was. But he, just like you, very quickly learned that his career would not last.
He was fullback, centre half back,
all
Australian.
Centre
half back.
He ain't
a couple
a
of times.
If you can tell me Matt Pavlich, pristine Pavlich, is a backman.
It was Glenn
with a
Jakovic
straight
back when I
face.
first started. It was
Jacko.
the big Jacko.
Mate, there's none. I'll tell you right now, there's none. David King tried to tell me he was a backman.
Well, he was a half-back flanker.
Mate, but he
was.
he to his own.
Lee Montagna was a half-back flanker.
Both of those blokes.
Nick Del Sano was a half-back flanker.
All three of
Hang
those.
on, I've named four.
All those three blokes are not backmen, mate. They played in the back line.
to rack them up, to free themselves up.
A touch. Joey Montagna had 47 touches one day. You can't tell me he's getting any votes in the BackChat back in the year. You know,
Are you the first defender that can actually talk appropriately? And
maybe. String some
That could
words
be
together.
String some words together.
Jacko sometimes. I've worked with Jacko a lot back in Perth.
He's a legend. I love the big fella.
So, mate, you listen, Johnson.
So I've named four.
None of them have. Backman, not guys that played.
Even when Pav was on the bench in the All-Australian team, he was on the bench as a replacement back.
Listen to this, mate. Pavlich, Rewalt, Johnson, Lyon, Meriden, Dunstall, like all these forwards. Like, look at me. Let me talk about it.
Superstars are up front, mate.
Very good, very good. Last one. This will do us for the potty. You've been very generous with your time. A defender story across the journey, and maybe it's a teammate. You would have played with some dour types. Is there something that you can throw to us? A backman story, and again, like I'm talking, Kingy rolled one out yesterday. Mick Martin rocking up to the game with fake tan on it. I want a bit of. Have you got? Who are some of the dour types you played with? Because I was trying to think of a few. I think you mentioned one before, Crediel.
Steve Crediel. Matty Croft and Steve Crediel.
They
were ruthless.
The epitome of like what I'm talking about.
They were. Matty Croft,
black boots.
When we played Sydney, Matty Croft would come around the change rooms and say, "Whatever you do today, don't talk to Plugger. Don't say a word to him. Just leave him to me." Nice and quietly. Do not open your mouth. Windy, if you're coming back in the hole, just do it quietly. Just fly back there.
Because you didn't want to fire him up.
Yes,
don't talk to Plugger.
Didn't want to fire him up.
That's brilliant.
Which was great.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, Crofty, Credit, they were tough, mate. They were seriously tough.
Yes.
Tough players. Dale Morris was outstanding. He did it the hard way too, Moz. Like the way that he got himself into the system and achieved was brilliant. They're probably the three dour ones.
Mate, that's us done and dusted.
Good work, boys. I've loved
Thank
it.
you.
Had an absolute ball. Thanks for having me on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Johnson, big thank you to our sponsors powered by Paywise this year. Jono, you'll like this. ID Athletic, Whippersnapper Whiskey, Mumba Digital, TABtouch, Shelter Brewing Co, Leadable Precinct. A big thank you to all of those guys, our viewers, our listeners. Everyone can sign up, backchatstudios.com.au to find merch, to find VIP codes and all the rest of the business. Jono, thank you very much, mate.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
Thanks.